Everyone has experienced the feeling of randomly feeling sad, a feeling that has happened too often because of social media's influence over our lives. But through the power of social media, we are able to find songs and artists that make us feel different. Songs that are relatable and give us reassurance that no one is able to give. Throughout this year, I've been feeling that sadness I was talking about. Music apps like Apple Music, Spotify, and even YouTube have helped me so much because of the way I am able to relate and feel a connection with the song. Each of us have our own musical tastes and preferences. It's hard to escape the rest of what's out there in the world of music. Most of us don't often consider the music we're exposed to and how the melody impacts the brain, body, and spirit. Music affects us subliminally, but not only through melody, but also through the imaginary and language portrayed in lyrics. Most people are fortunate to live in a society in which free speech and artists license our basic rights. However, when lyrics from some of the most accessible, popular, and mainstream songs contain sexualized themes, misogyny, profane language, and references to drugs, violence, and dispatch of wealth and displays of wealth, where do we draw the line? There's this quote, I don't remember from whom, but it goes like this: I can't help but falling for you when you love me. As a teen myself, I am hypersensitive to negative and positive messages that relate to me one way or another. This year, I've seen myself being affected by the lyrics of many songs, either with heartbreak, relationships, and life. I met a girl in January of this year. She introduced me to so many new genre of music, and was it was kept me going. Artists like Kuko and The Neighborhood. The song Best Friend by Rex Orange County is about a love story between two friends who aren't meant to be. There is a verse in that song that the girl and I could relate to. But no, it wasn't meant to be, and see, I wasn't made for you and you weren't made for me. We had liked each other and it was almost a perfect match. The problem was that I didn't feel the same way. I knew it was never going to work out because it takes two to make a relationship. We spent nights talking about us, but we always came back for the same conclusion. It won't work and it wasn't meant to be. Another lyric from the song was, I'm just looking for some mutual love, but all I get is unrequired lint from Lost in You by Kai Dreams. I tried my best to put myself in her shoes and see how she was feeling, and it hurt. The unrequited love she was getting is a feeling I hope no one ever feels. I had thoughts of letting her go, if that was the best move, instead of staying in her life because I knew she was hurting. You can't be friends with someone that you love because all you'll get in return is the same response over and over again. I don't feel the same way, I'm sorry, but I don't like you. I was desperate to think of a way to move on from her without leaving her, but there wasn't a way. I saw her mental health declining and that I decided to leave, and we became friends again later this year. I'm happy for her as well. She's moved on, she has a boyfriend, and she's smiling more than if we ever decide to become a thing. I'm sorry that I couldn't be that person with you hoped for me to be, but I have no regrets in our friendship because I love what we have and I hope you stay in my life. I tried my hardest to experience what my best friend felt, but I couldn't until recently of this year. And let me tell you, it really does suck. It was the 6th of October when we met. It was actually online and she wanted to talk about the most random things ever. She made me fall. I fell hard, harder than anyone before her. For our first ever phone call, we talked about life, and it was personal and comedic. We matched each other's energy. It was weird because I never got feelings for someone over the phone and like the sound of their voice, but it just felt real. We both read books, watched movies, and listened to music that no one has ever heard. We were so alike, so compatible, yet so different. It was never boring when we talked for hours, and I genuinely saw her in my future. When we met for the first time, she was beautiful. I couldn't help but stare her into her eyes. I might have intimidated her. I held her hand. They were cold, so I kept them warm. She introduced me to this one song called WFM by Real Escape. It's about a song repeating "Wait for me," meaning no matter what happens, no matter where we are, and even if it takes years, we would wait for that person. It was absolute, and I wanted to wait for her. We started dating, but it wasn't what I expected. I learned this the hard way when I would repeatedly hear expectations break the heart. I expected something, but I received something different. She didn't want to tell me. She didn't want to communicate because she would thought I would think of her differently, but I didn't care. And I gave her reassurance that I would wait for her if she would wait for me. There's this song written by Cuckoo called Beso no Sé, and there's a quote that I could relate to so hard. Don't play with me, you broke my heart, but I'm also so obsessed with you. As time went by, she got confused and gave me less and less effort. I tried my best to understand and be patient, but I started to ruin my own mental health. She started to play with me. She took advantage of me being vulnerable and patient, and she broke my heart because of the betrayals. And at that point, I started to realize I was also obsessed. I had the mentality of, if she's happy now, then maybe I can be happy later. Then she began to use her issues for reasons of ignoring me. Of course, mental health is a serious issue, but using it over and over again and admitting it was bad. All the songs I've listened to throughout the year and past month were negatively impacting my mental health because all I thought about was this one person. All of the wait for me's and I'm so lost in you and don't tell me it wasn't meant to be was all for nothing in my head. So I left. I was in the state of fauna, the destruction of self, destroyed by love. Music is universal and it could be used for anything and could be listened to by anyone. It relived, it relived the mind and or could damage it. It could be used for growth or spiritual gains. Lyrics in a song can impact our lives in better or worse ways than you think. And if you still don't believe me from my experiences, then why do you still remember the quotes? Then why do I still remember the quotes? It is because it impacted my life one way or another.